Welcome to The Gabrielle Lara Show, a podcast dedicated to normalizing the messy middle of entrepreneurship. I am your host, Gabrielle Lara, and I invite entrepreneurs from all walks of life onto this podcast to share what they navigated to get from where they were to where they are now. My hopes of this podcast is to help you feel more seen and heard in your entrepreneurial journey as you navigate your own version of the messy middle. I appreciate you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to another episode of the Gabrielle Lara Show. I have my friend Ashton here with me today, and I met her through my coach, Hannah, and I met her at a retreat back in September, and we were chatting at dinner, and I was like, we need to stay connected because you have such beautiful energy and you build such a beautiful community. I'd love to bring you into my community and any way I can add value to yours. And we've just kept in touch. And so here she is on the podcast going to share her story with you all. So Ashton, welcome.
I am so pumped to be here. Your energy is always infectious, so anytime I get to spend with you is great.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to learn more about you and what you've built and how you built it and really what you navigated to get there. So why don't you start us off by just sharing what is your business? Like, what do you do now?
Yeah. So I run a company called The Awakening, and it is an education-based platform and community for women in business. And really what I like to say that we do, if I really sum it up, we help women build intentionally so they can leave a powerful legacy behind. So I help early stage all the way to established entrepreneurs really own their power as a leader, own their power as a woman, and a CEO, deeply connect with their vision, and then sustainably scale their business.
I love that so much. And I want to dive into like what it means to own your power and what it means to be intentional. And before we get there, share with us how you built this. Like what sparked in your life where you were like, we the world needs this and I'm gonna create it.
Mm. It's so funny. Anytime someone asks this question, I feel like I have to backtrack like way, way, way back
Yeah.
because I was never the person that like, and I feel like rarely do we find people that just knew immediately what they wanted to do forever and ever and ever. Like it oftentimes snowballs and there's like these beautiful stepping stones in our journey that get us ultimately to where we're meant to be. And that was very much so my journey. So I'll try to keep it brief, but I feel like I have to go back to like when I was in college, I went to business school. I always felt like I was the odd woman out. Like I didn't fit in because I wasn't going the traditional corporate path. I truly have like creativity in my bones, and I knew I wanted my profession to have like writing and creativity like woven into just woven into what I got to do and the magic that I got to bring into the world. So went to business school. Immediately out of business school, I started blogging because that was like the most obvious thing to me. I was like, I like to write, let's blog. I've always just had this heart for speaking life into women. And so my original blog, although it was a lifestyle blog, it kind of snowballed into just like this women empowerment platform. And we talked about body positivity and authenticity and owning your power. So funny how like these things are woven into what we've built today. We transitioned that into a print publication called The Authentic Woman. It was a non-retouched magazine and it featured women's stories. So that was really fun. And from there, that's where I transitioned into The Awakening because I realized that I really had a knack for business. Like I had a knack for creativity, but I also had a knack for business and helping women like build from the ground up, become more kind of focused, in tune with their vision, and figure out really how to execute and implement in order to build their dream company. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what led me here.
Oh, I love that. That's so strong. And I'm just like feel so called to ask you like when did you learn the lesson of being intentional? Like was there a time in your life where you maybe weren't intentional and maybe you looked at it and you were like, all right, never again.
Yeah. So I definitely learned this in a business aspect running my previous company. I think, your first goal when you start a company is you want to get it off the ground so that it can stay in the world and it can continue bringing value and magic to the world. And in that process, I mean, like, the analogy that comes to mind, just like throwing spaghetti at the wall everywhere. I was so inundated with the shoulds and what everyone else was saying, which is a whole other piece. And I was so passionate about getting the business off the ground that I scattered my energy everywhere, and I was moving anything but intentionally. And so when I founded The Awakening, it was something that, I was very mindful of from day one. I'm not perfect and I wasn't perfect at it, but I'm the person, if I have 10 ideas, but I know I can only execute on two of them, I will only do the two of them. Like, I won't do the 10
Huge.
things,
Oh,
which is why I often partner with very visionary women, because that's oftentimes a struggle. You want to do all the things, but I'm
definitely.
more passionate about making sure that we get your ideas, we get your work into the world, and that it stays in the world. And I feel like I had to learn that lesson the hard way running my past companies and never really getting them to the place I wanted them to be because my energy was so scattered.
Oh, I like that is a massive strong suit. Massive strong suit because I find that so many entrepreneurs, myself included, we're doing, and then we're like, ooh, light bulb moment. Let me go explore that. And then we go and we stretch ourselves so thin, and we can only be in so many places at once. So having you as like that advisor to be like, let me just bring you back down to earth and let's really be intentional about the foundation of really building this house on strong bones before you can continue off. And I think that that is so strong. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like I try to see it as a strength because I also have so much admiration for the people that have all the ideas. And I
Yeah.
truly believe, like, if you have a desire in your heart, it's meant to be in the world. It's meant to come to fruition. And so I really like marrying the ambition with, okay, let's keep this also realistic. Because another thing I'm passionate about is making sure you keep your life and you keep your
Yeah.
sanity and your joy and your peace, and that you're in this for the long haul.
It's balance. It's all about balance. And for everyone listening, like it's just so much permission here to ask for help and like ask for somebody like Ashton who has the ability to keep you grounded with where you are. And as you said, like it's great to be a visionary and like have all these ideas and stuff, but like where's the balance at the same time? And I know I see a lot just like in my clients outside of their business, the struggle with balance, the struggle deeply with balance of personal goals, professional goals, like how to do all the things. And so I just think that I love that really is what you offer. And I want to talk through too the stepping into your power piece because that phrase is thrown around a lot. And I know there's a lot of questions. I know I've questioned what that meant before. I know that I've heard people question that. So how do you define like stepping into your power and how do you support that?
Mm. I feel like everyone has their own definition for this. And I've actually been thinking about this recently because I was assessing our marketing. I'm like, I wonder if people know what this means. But to me, I think living, owning, stepping into my power, it just means living in like the fullness of who I am, like allowing
Mhm.
myself to embody the fullness of who I am, like my strengths and my weaknesses, what I love and what I don't necessarily love about myself, really just allowing myself to be fully who I am and to portray that to the world. I recently was filming an episode for our YouTube channel on this because this has been one of my personal biggest challenges this year. This year, I had all of these intentions of the ways I was going to, put myself out there and own my power and be an authority and whatever it is. And actually, what was required of me in order to get to that point has been a lot of like pulling back and inner work and figuring out like, why am I not living and embodying my power in these scenarios? Why am I second and triple guessing myself in all of these areas? And Yeah, so this year it's been a big journey for me. Like, am I living in the fullness of who I am? Am I bringing the fullness of who I am into my work and not
Mm.
fearing so much the reactions of others and what people have to say or who may or may not resonate and relate with that? I think that so often um, we play small and we have a tendency to hide, especially when you're building a business and you're doing something so vulnerable. Like, let's just be real, building a business,
Yeah.
launching something, you're putting yourself out there, and that is extremely vulnerable. So, when we talk about owning your power, like, there's so much growth opportunity for like confidence and coming out of hiding, being unafraid as to the reactions of other people, and just knowing that your ultimate job on this earth is to be you and to bring that magic into the world. I think that was a long-winded way of explaining that, but I think that's what it means to me.
Oh, it makes so much sense though. And like, how did you work through that when you had those realizations? Like, what did you do to really work through that?
Mm, it's so funny because a lot of that work, it doesn't happen in front of anyone else. It happens
Oh,
by
100%.
yourself, you know?
Yep.
And when we hear the phrase own your power, it feels like you would see that manifest in a very public way, right? Because we think of
Mm.
power, putting yourself out there as an entrepreneur, and you're going to be doing XYZ that everyone can see. But I think that confidence and power that is real and lasts, it's always fostered alone first, you know? So for me, like, I am a big journaler and that's kind of how I like process and brain dump and like pick apart my thoughts. And that's a lot of what I've done this year is just create space to understand some of these things that have popped up for me, and some of the ways that I haven't been living in my power, in my fullness, and really processing that. It's been a lot of like mindset work. It's been a lot of curiosity. Why do I think that? Why do I feel that? How can I heal that? And for me, it's been a very private process. And I think that it kind of has to be at first in order for you to bring that in fullness into your work, you know?
Oh, 1,000%. And 100%. It's like, you'd think that that is done so publicly, but it really is like, what I find is it comes down to you looking yourself in the mirror and really being grounded in who it is that you are. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing this? Because it is so easy to get lost in it all. And, you know, as you're finding all that and working through that, you're really vulnerable. And so then you hop on social media and you see, like, ooh, do try this, or, you know, that person made $1 billion off doing that. Let's try that. And you just get out of alignment with your personal journey. And so to reground in that, it's the key, I find, to really stepping into that power. Because I know personally I've learned, like, I need to know what my power is for me to step into it. And that was a long unfolding. And like, everyone listening, be patient in your journey in that, because that wasn't overnight. That was through me failing 6,000 times, you know, and like still looking myself in the mirror and like, we got this, you know, like, and everyone's journey with it looks so different, but it starts with you. It starts behind the
Yeah.
scenes so
I
much.
love that question. What is my power? That is so
Mm.
significant because what the manifestation of your power looks like may be so different from what mine looks like. And that's another big thing that I've done in a different phrasing is really identify even when do I feel most in my power and when do I feel like I'm living in my version of success, and like creating these markers for myself so I can see where I'm going and how I know that I'm living in success. I think that we can get so lost in, like you said, all the how
Mm.
to's and all of what everyone else is doing. Social media is beautiful. Like, I don't know that we would have met without it, but it also needs
Absolutely.
extreme parameters and boundaries because I have found that consumption and just being overly inundated with so much content has been one of the biggest things that has steered me off course in parts of my journey. And it's figuring out how can you get regrounded and what does living in your power really look like for you. I think that's so powerful.
Oh my God. I love what you said too, like your definition of success. And like, I want to talk about this because I know personally when I was growing up and I just knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, I was like in freshman year of high school, and I was like, by 25, I make over $100,000 a year. I have no student loans, and I drive a Range Rover. Hello, like I couldn't have been further from the friggin' truth. I was driving a clunker. I had 55 grand in student loans, and I was not making 100 grand. It's like, and that, jokes aside, I had to heal that, because that really is what I thought success looked like. And I know personally, when I started my business and I wasn't making money, like that threw me for an absolute loop, because I tied my worth to my financial success. And I went through this big journey of learning that, like, no, that wasn't it. And so I know personally, I define it now by how well I sleep at night.
Mm.
I sleep well at night when there's not financial stress, when everyone around me is healthy, when I am happy and happy, like all of the things. And it's really so amazing how different it is. So how do you define success? Like, what does that look like for
Yeah.
you?
So I think that there's different definitions for me according to life and business, even though they're both intertwined. Like for me in my
Yeah,
work, I think that we're so used to measuring the numbers in our business because that's important. You want to pay attention to
absolutely.
that. That does showcase the health of your business. But money isn't one of my success markers. It's not it's like so far off the radar because money is just a way, it's just like a tool that provides more opportunity and it fuels the mission. Like that's what it is. And so it's funny, like, we sometimes harp so much on numbers and views and money, and they have their place in measuring your business, but not measuring how you're living success necessarily. And so
Mm.
for me, when it comes to the work that I do specifically, I'm so passionate about doing the deeper work. And I say creating generational impact. And what I mean by that is I want to leave a mark on people's lives that change them from the inside out. Not only are we growing your business, but like I want you to be so changed from the inside out, so in your power that your business is growing, but like you have actually changed so much and transformed and become more of who you actually are at the core, that you've changed your family line because now you're changing decisions that you're making, actions that you're taking, and the true impact that that has, it goes so much further than just one person. And so that's the way that I see success in my work specifically, is going to those deeper places with my clients as we're working on developing and growing your business. I want you to be changed from the inside out. Like that's the ultimate. And also in doing so, because I am so impact driven, I have to remember that a part of the way I define success, it's also living with peace and space and freedom. I think we can become so consumed by our mission sometimes that we sacrifice that piece, but that's a huge piece of it. So you can keep doing the things you love doing.
Oh my gosh, I could just feel your energy like so like strongly through that, and like feel how impact driven you are, and just feel your passion around that and how important that is right now. And so I'm so curious to ask, like, what what do you find that what does your community struggle with most at this time? Like, what is the big blockage that they're faced with for the most part right now that you're helping them
Mm.
through?
Well, I think if we were to look at what they come to me and say, it's always more of the strategic pieces. Like, I want to
Okay.
increase, diversify my revenue. I want to, get in front of more people, bring in more clients. But what I find often is like the work required in order to get there is always so much deeper. And I always say, like, I am in the trenches with every person that I work with because even though those are your goals and I absolutely can help with that, I have the strategic part of my brain and I love tapping into that. I also am always going to come back to the soul piece as well and the deeper work that's required in order for you to get there. And a lot of times that doesn't happen in like a call, but it happens, being in someone's energy and being on Voxer and being on calls and in between as you're processing it is, I guess, that element too of like leading you back to your power so that you can actually achieve those things in alignment, right? It's like
Mhm.
growth in alignment. Like that's very, very important because yeah, you can making more money is like it's actually really simple. It might not be easy every step of the way, but like the true work is like, how are you going to sustain that growth? And a lot of times that has to start with you inside.
A 1,000%. It's like, yeah, you must be ready for that because everyone wants more money, but for you, it takes a different version of yourself to face that too, because it comes with responsibility, it comes with, more meetings, it comes with all of the things. And it is so much of the deeper work too. And I can absolutely relate to that. I can absolutely relate to that because I was definitely one of those people that was like, hey, help me make more money. And then I was like, wait a second. I realized that if I were, and it's 12:22 my time, I just saw the 222. Like, if I were to do that at the time, I know personally, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. And so, really being able to like get your business there, but also get you as the human being who's running the business there as
Yep.
well. So, what is one thing that you wish you could go back and tell yourself at the start of your business?
I think I would tell myself all things are working in your favor in perfect timing.
Ooh, I
Because
love
I
that.
think we have a tendency to kind of overthink and also to sometimes stall when we feel like we don't have all of the answers in terms of how to get somewhere. And sometimes, as like impact driven visionary women, your vision is huge, you know? And so you can kind of like have some trouble starting and moving and overthinking and trying to make everything perfect. But like, whether or not today, tomorrow, next month, this year pans out the way that you think it should and you think that it will, everything's working in your favor in perfect timing and you're being led exactly where you're meant to be.
Mm, 1,000%. 1,000%. Exactly. And having that knowing and being grounded in it, I really think is key to stepping into your power and maintaining the
Mm.
power. Seriously, as we had talked about. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they work with you? Like if they're listening to this and they're like, I need that 100%, how can they join the community? How can they work directly with you and where can they
Yeah,
find you?
I would love to connect. So we are myawakening.co. That's our website. And then My Awakening Co. across socials, hang out on Instagram a lot. We have a variety of offers. If you're looking for something to kind of like dip your toes in the water, we have our Awakening membership, which is all around CEO embodiment, moving your business forward, a lot of the things we talked about today, too. And we're also pre booking for private coaching in 2023. So if you are wanting more intimate, support and a more intimate partnership, we can always chat further. Just head over to our website.
Please go check her out, everyone. It's in the show notes below, her website, her Instagram, all of the things. Ashton is just has the most beautiful, peaceful energy, and I'm sure you guys can all feel that from listening to this. And Ashton, I appreciate you so much for
Thanks for
joining
having
me.
me.
Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, I would be super appreciative if you left a review and a rating and shared this with a friend so that I can continue to bring you value every single week. I'll see you next time.